that has never been in contact with any particular law enforcement court system. And from what I can see and what I hear out here from a lot of my Black male, and I'm sure it's common knowledge, is that because they are unfamiliar with the court system, they don't know, number one.
Traveler. Okay.
Today's case involves a sovereign citizen who, surprisingly, actually asked for an attorney this time. It might seem like progress, but don't be fooled. He's still fully immersed in the sovereign citizen mindset. He was caught driving without a license, using a makeshift plate that literally just said traveler, and unsurprisingly, resisted arrest, because what sovereign citizen encounter would be complete without some unnecessary drama? The case itself is wildly entertaining, but what really stands out is the strange courtroom dynamic between him and his attorney. There's an unusual amount of physical closeness and overly attentive behavior that just feels off. Maybe it's just me, but I found it bizarre. Either way, let's dive into this one and see what's really going on.
She and I have already discussed it on this case, and we just both want you to hear the PC, if we can, Judge.
Okay.
And then on the bond reinstatement as well, Judge.
So officers initiated a traffic stop in Harris County, Texas for a vehicle having a fictitious plate bearing the word traveler on it. During the stop, the defendant refused to provide...
Traveler. Okay.
During the stop, the defendant refused to provide ID or insurance information, stating, "I do not consent to this." Officer attempted to remove the defendant from the vehicle, and defendant actively resisted by pulling his arm away from deputies until he was detained.
Okay. Tell me what.
So we looked at, I'm sorry, Madam Prosecutor, the interference with duties of public servant, Your Honor. Even if my client is failing to give them that, then it is an arrestable offense. But in this situation, it is, Judge. However, in this particular situation, he didn't interfere with anything in terms of his own arrest. I can, if it was a resisting or something to that effect, I can.
They're just trying to get him out of the car.
I don't disagree.
It's classic sovereign case where got the license plate, think that traveling by right is what I think how they term it.
In this situation, Judge, and the reason I'm employing upon the court is, even from what Madam Prosecutor has seen on the video, they're pulling and tugging at his arm, which put my client in some fear. It was more than one officer. It was pretty.
But he still has a duty. If they're asking you to come out, they can lawfully do that. And there are videos, and go on YouTube, right? There are hundreds of videos where officers will literally destroy your car to get you out. When you get into a pissing match with a person who has the power of arrest, who's going to win, Mr. Daly?
We don't disagree, Your Honor.
Right. You know what I mean? That's real life.
We don't disagree, Your Honor. I think under the circumstances of what actually happened, it was not Mr. Daly's position to resist or to interfere. That was not. He was concerned for his safety at that point. And actually, I don't know, did you hear that on the video? Right. And so in reviewing the video, it was pretty quick, pretty brash. They didn't give him an opportunity to respond per the prosecutor in this situation. It wasn't as if he was intentionally.
Remember, this is just a mere probable cause.
Yes,
so,
I agree.
They ask you to come out of the car one time. Yeah, it's really, that's, so, I think that there's enough probable cause to go forward now. The problem is, Mr. Daly, is that we revoke your bond. Your bond is set at 2501, and you've continually failed to appear. So, the case and the way that you've treated us, it shows me that you just refuse to accept authority. How are we supposed to deal with that? How do we deal with that, Timberl?
Your Honor, the only reason I bring to your attention is I asked the court to take into consideration. We have a Black male works every day who, and I hate to put that on the court, but I do in this particular climate, that has never been in contact with any particular law enforcement court system. And from what I can see and what I hear out here from a lot of my Black male, and I'm sure it's common knowledge, is that because they are unfamiliar with the court system, they don't know, number one. Number two, when they do come in contact with police, and my mother is assistant chief of police, so I can understand, even when I was younger, I was taught that there are certain things that you have to do with when a police officer even stop you on a speeding ticket. What we don't know is whenever these officers come up, when you're somebody who don't have the privilege of having a police officer as a parent, or who isn't familiar and is being raised in this particular climate, and seeing what they see on TV and seeing what they hear and everything that has occurred, you don't know what the proper steps are. I was trained from when I was grown up what you do. I'm not saying that what he did was right or wrong. I'm not saying that how he reacted to this particular court, it is wrong. However, I'm employing upon the court to ask the court to take into a little bit of consideration, number one, from his perspective.
Okay, so this attorney is seriously pulling the race card, and shockingly, that's not even the wildest thing happening here. What really has me scratching my head is how she's practically smothering this sovereign citizen defendant like it's her full-time job. It's bizarre, honestly. I can't even tell if she's his lawyer or his mom with how overly involved she's acting. I've seen some strange attorney-client dynamics, but this has to be one of the weirdest yet. Have you ever seen a lawyer get this physically hands-on with a client in court? Because I haven't, and I'm genuinely baffled. And then there's her argument. She's trying to say the police didn't have probable cause. Seriously? The guy had a fake license plate that literally just said traveler, and the cops told him to step out of the car. When officers have cause and give a lawful command, you comply. It's not rocket science. I know sovereign citizens have some interesting beliefs, but even the judge isn't buying into this nonsense. And this is Judge Fair we're talking about. He's not exactly known for giving people a pass, especially someone who already skipped court like they're too important to show up. Now the defendant is acting like none of this is real and throwing out the race card as a last-ditch effort? Yeah, that's not going to fly. This whole case is a mess, but what really stands out is that attorney. Her behavior is just so odd. Let me know what you think, because honestly, I can't be the only one who finds this whole thing completely off the rails.
All defendants, can't just say this, but I do see that, from what I've known from this particular case and now in talking to him, I do believe that there is a sense of sometimes they just don't know. Sometimes they just don't. So I'm asking to reinstate his PR bond. I am now on the case. What you know about me, I'm a tight attorney. I run a tight ship. So, and by which of way I believe I can reach him and getting him to court and resolving this matter, which is what I talked to the prosecutor about when you were on break. It's like, let's just resolve this. Let's take care of this.
I'll buy it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
I'm not going to do this again, though. I promise you. I don't care whoever you have. If you flake on us again, that's 3 times. It's out. I'm not going to do it again. Do you understand, Mr. Daly? I mean, when you come to court, good things happen. When you don't show up and you continually do it, you can't expect good things to happen. Now, do you have a Texas driver's license?
No, right now.
You're not allowed to drive.
Right.
You have a bond condition and you've signed an affidavit with me today promising you're not going to drive. I don't care how you term it. Driving, traveling, however you're going to word it, whatever you do not get into the driver's seat of an automobile, a motorcycle, anything with a combustible engine where you can get on the road unless you have approval from us. Do you understand? I don't care that you have to work. I don't care if you have to go to church. I don't care if you're going to a funeral. I don't care if you're going to wherever it may be. Do not drive. Do you understand? Heed this warning. You're not going to get another one. Okay, Timberlake, I'll reinstate the bond.
Thank you, Your Honor. And I'll talk to her. We were going to try to talk to Chief, but it's pretty busy
I
today.
think the case is only 3 months old,
Yes,
so you've got time. You can do whatever you want.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Judge.
Because you have a lawyer, I will waive your appearance. You don't have to waste your time coming to court now, but you must stay in touch with her and she'll tell you when you got to come back to court. If she comes back and tells me she can't get a hold of you because you're playing games or you've gone AWOL or whatnot, or you get arrested for something else, all bets off. We good? I'm not asking for much, man. Really. And for future reference, when you get into a pissing match with someone with the power of arrest, you are nearly always going to lose. It's just the way it works. And as a young black man in today's society, you got to be extra special careful because things can go really wrong really quick. And there's evidence of that over and over and over.
This might be a hot take, but I'm genuinely disappointed that Judge Flair didn't deliver a tougher sentence in this case. While I'm not suggesting we treat every sovereign citizen like an episode of Law and Order, this particular situation clearly called for more serious consequences. The defendant skipped court, resisted arrest as if his life depended on it, and drove around with a license plate that looked like it was made in Microsoft Paint. Normally, failing to appear in court can lead to contempt charges or even a warrant, and resisting arrest is a separate offense that stacks on top of everything else. It really seemed like the perfect case for a stronger response, but instead, the guy basically got off with a slap on the wrist. What struck me even more than the lenient sentence was the behavior of his attorney. I've never seen her before, and I don't know what her background is, but she was practically smothering her client throughout the proceedings. It was honestly bizarre, almost like she was playing the role of a concerned parent rather than a legal professional. Maybe that's just how things are done in Texas, but to me, it came off as unprofessional and incredibly odd. She did most of the talking for him, even pulled the race card out of nowhere, and acted like that was somehow supposed to invalidate the very real actions he took. To be clear, I fully acknowledge that race can absolutely be a factor in certain legal cases, but in this one, it just didn't fit. The man had a fake traveler license plate and blatantly ignored police orders. That's not systemic bias. That's someone choosing to disregard the law. In the end, this case left me scratching my head and honestly a little frustrated. If you've seen it, I'd love to hear your thoughts, especially on that attorney's conduct. Was it just me, or was the whole thing way off the rails?